I will call the meeting to order. Thanks, everyone. Welcome. Good to see you all by Zoom. It's been a while. The first item on the agenda is to approve the September 2021 minutes. There's the word. It's right in front of me.
And I have them, I did email them out to everybody and I can put them, here they are. They can pop up on the screen.
I actually read them this time, so I can motion to approve. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just have, there's just one thing I noticed.
I need a second first, so
sorry.
I just need someone to second it.
Second it, Kate.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Sylvie.
Sorry, yeah, so just my last name is spelled wrong. Not a huge deal, but.
Okay, well then, all right, B-I-N, sorry about that. B-I-N-E-T-T-E.
Correct.
Okay, I will get that corrected.
Thanks.
Of course.
Hi, Sam.
Hello.
All right, anyone else have any comments or changes to the minutes?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Great. Motion passes. Next, I was gonna wait for Sam, but Sam got here. So for the public education anti-idling goal, Kate, I know I think you sent an email. I don't remember if it was just to me and Shannon, with the picture of the sign that's currently there. But does Kate or Sam want to update us on where that is?
Actually, I'm going to jump in if that's okay, because I think after so based on the minutes and the action items, once Kate got all the information pulled together, then I had some things I had to do. So I did coordinate with our highway superintendent, Jim Rusbason, and our signs for something like this, we would typically contract out. And we work with East Coast Sign Company, and so Jim got in touch with them, sent over the information, the sample sign and the dimensions that Kate had shared, and they would be $25 a sign.
Okay.
And I also followed up with Joe Swetke, our finance director, and there is, we've got about $38,000, so there's plenty. If we did, I think we talked about doing initially 3 signs at each school, so that would be 21 signs. So I've got 1,575 is the total for the cost, and so I think we're good there. And then next steps, again, just working off the meeting minutes. I'll pull these back up. So when we're looking at these action items, so that took care of 1, 2, and 3. We can put an article. There'll be a winter newsletter. So the fall newsletter had passed and I did not get anything in, but there'll be a winter newsletter coming up. My guess is the deadline is going to be in end of December or into January for that, so that it'll publish in late January or February. So if we want a little blurb in that newsletter, we can do that. And as we talked about, that'll be the town-wide newsletter that gets mailed out to everyone. And then Sam, the ball would be in your court then to talk with Board of Ed or principals regarding best location for the installation and ability to add it to the curriculum, if that's the direction we want to continue with this.
Sure, that's not a problem. Did Jim mention if he can help with the installation of them as well, or?
I'm sure he can. I didn't get into that detail because we'll need so the $25 is just for the signs. So then we'll need the 21. We'll need steel posts, right, to get those in. So there'll be some additional costs for the steel posts. but then they're just driven into the ground. So other than our own labor, yeah, I'm sure he can assist with that. I can double check.
Oh, can I ask a question? Are we gonna make the signs exactly like the sign at IAR? Are we going to do a different design or different wording or?
That's entirely up to you folks. I guess I was of the impression that we were going to go with what had been shared, but it doesn't have to be.
I personally, I think the no idling will work fine for the service entries if we're going to post them there, because truck drivers know what that means, but I'm not sure all parents will necessarily know what that means or that it applies to them.
Turn off engines. I mean, it's pretty.
Okay.
I would add that it should be breathe, not breath. So there should be an E after that H.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks, Patty.
Yep.
Yeah. Should things be spelled correctly at a school?
Oops.
Hopefully we added that sign to the list of the ones to install. We'll put it right over the top.
In terms of a different sign, Kate, did you have any other language that you were thinking about?
No, I think this is really direct. I like how direct it is, actually.
Yeah.
Should it be in red? Just saying. No, I mean, it's great. Do you mind bringing it down a little bit? I just want to see the top of it. Sorry.
Yeah, and because it's in the email, I can't
Oh, yeah, I see
change
it.
the size. So
No, I just wanted to see the top of it.
yeah.
Yep.
Sam, maybe at the high school, the ones can be installed on the existing stay in the lane, no through traffic sign. So we don't have to pay the extra for, like, maybe they can go under or something.
That may be the case. First, I'll find out the best locations for them, and there may be posts in those locations anyway, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay. And should I wait I'm thinking we'll wait to hear back from Sam with confirmation that all the schools are agreeable and we definitely need 3 signs at each location before we go ahead with the order?
Yeah, we'll need yes, I think that makes sense. We do need to vote on it, right? To spend money. Do we want to set it up as a not to exceed? So that way there's some additional, we can add some wiggle room for posts or.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe not to exceed 20, we could do 2,500. I can't imagine there's 1,000. If it's 1,500 for signs, the posts are going to be $50 a pop, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't had to go get steel sign posts, so.
I'm sure they're on a shipping container in the middle of the ocean, unloadable. So
I'm sure. Yes. Yes. The post cost $10, but the transportation was 100 or 200. So, but yes, we would need a motion, and we can just discuss timing, I think, too. So to make sure that the schools are going to be on. Sam, have you had any conversations with folks, or will this be a fresh conversation?
No, it's been talked about already. And yeah, no, it won't be hard. I'll hop on a DLC meeting and go around to all the schools, take care of it.
Okay, so I guess the point is, should I wait to hear back from you before ordering, or do you think we should be all set?
I don't see any reason why you can't order the 3 signs per school. We're not going to need less than that. The only thing would be, if there were some changes that we wanted to make to the sign itself, color wise or any otherwise. So.
Well, I know the black and white is the easiest from a visibility. So the black text on the white background is the highest from a visibility and a readability, particularly when you start to get at a distance. When you start to introduce other colors, then you lose the clarity. So, and this is having had a bunch of signs come through town hall and talking with different sign vendors and different people. So, and it should be I mean, obviously it's not an MUTCD sign because it's not traffic related, but it is a directional sign as opposed to like a school sign with logo or other stuff to be added to it.
Is there any advantage to including in smaller font at the bottom the citation? Because it's state law?
We certainly can.
I'm just,
You-
sometimes, you know, people will say, oh, I'm supposed to do that by law, and they're more likely to do it. Some people.
Particularly in this day and age.
Is that something that you happen to have somewhat readily available?
I can
or
send it to you,
can
yeah.
Get it to
Send
me?
it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is the law 3 minutes?
I think it's 2. Because, and I think the definition of idling is set up based on minutes, I think. So,
All right. And does anyone want to take a shot or take on the responsibility of doing the blurb for the town newsletter?
Sure, I'll do that. Kate,
Thank you, Kate.
welcome. If you just don't mind emailing me or whatever the deadline.
Certainly, yes,
Thanks, Shannon.
of course.
Google says 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Thank you. I did today, an aside, I had to pick up my kid today and she wasn't ready for me. So I stopped my car and then she's idly looking around and then comes down and says, why didn't you move forward? I'm like, because I turned the car off while I was waiting for you and I didn't want to turn it back on to have to move forward. Like you were 15 minutes late. I was not going to sit here for 15 minutes. So, but yes, I did explain to my kid today about the rules. So
Perfect. Great
Yeah.
teaching opportunity when that
Right.
happens, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Are they the same for hybrids? Because don't hybrids turn themselves off?
Well, it does until the battery level gets too low and then it kicks back in because the battery's not, and if it's cold, if you have the heat on it, that battery level is going to drain faster than it will. So. But yes, if it's summertime and I can have the windows open and I know the battery level's high, I've been known to leave it on until the gas engine kicks in and then I'll turn it off. So, all right, but that's neither here nor there. So I guess next is a motion for 25, not to exceed 2,500.
Motion? Yeah, is that what I say? Motion?
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve
What are we approving, Stacy?
spending up to $2,500 on signs and installation.
There we go.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thanks, Shannon.
Of course. Yeah, thank you, folks. That's good. All right. So
We
let me
did
get this-
something. We accomplished something.
We did.
Sort of. Almost.
Hip hip hooray.
Shannon, on the point around the timing for the newsletter, I want to go down a rabbit hole. I saw it's not on the agenda, but I was curious if that's something that we should put on the agenda for next time, or if we were thinking of kind of replicating any of the approach that we took last year. I think we included some just kind of like content around sustainable, gift giving and some sort of like holiday themed information around that.
I've got to find out if it's going to be published before or after Christmas.
Okay. And it might have actually been the green.
Yeah, it was our newsletter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But maybe, Jennifer, you do bring up a good point. I wonder if we could even just find that and post it again on Facebook page. And so what's already been written, find it and put it out there for people to, hey, it's holiday time again. And if we were to,
I think there's also, isn't there like a managed content site that Farmington has where we had talked
Yes.
about this before too?
explore
Sure.
Farmington.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was if I like to paraphrase, it was basically a holiday wrapping best practices as far as, what to use and how to dispose of.
Yeah, it was a little broader. I think it was some general best practices for around the holidays. I'd have to dust off my brain, honestly, to remember the specifics. But yeah, it was sort of a timely seasonal information.
Yeah, it covered decorations, LED bulbs instead of in the traditional incandescent ones. We probably even had some talk about meal prep, because I think it went out before Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I can see if I think Anna may have helped Erica with it, so I can see if it's around in the town manager's office, and I can poke around to see if I can get it, and then I can send it around, see if everybody still thinks it's relevant, wants any changes, and then I can get it over to Rose and she can get it posted on her Explore Farmington page.
Okay.
Thanks, Shannon. And if it helps for her to reach out to anybody, I'm happy to be a point of contact.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Great. So that brings us to our next item, which is the what our action. It's still headed as sustainable CT goal, but as we discussed at the last meeting, kind of moving towards a direction of trying to create actionable items that so we're actually doing something instead of gathering data, with the ultimate goal of these whatever action items we agree to, we can keep track of in the way Sustainable CT wants us to. So that way, when the committee gets down that path again, the information is available. So this is what are folks interested in working on in 2022. In the past, the committees looked at energy reduction. Was the streetlight project. There was a town-wide energy reduction in town buildings of swapping out lighting and HVAC and other types of higher energy use actions. So reducing the drain from just operating the businesses or operating the buildings rather. And that's been a while. So there are, so energy efficiency, renewable energy is an option. Another thing that's really big right now is waste reduction. It's a huge issue on a state level with the Mira plant, Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority. They are shutting down the trash to energy plant in June.
I think we have a real responsibility to the town to make sure everyone truly understands what that means. Like, I think that is I think it's an important role for us.
Yeah.
Like, everyone in this town should know what that means for them and the cost increases and what they can do. And
yeah,
it's huge. It's a huge issue.
It is huge. And I want to hear if anyone has anything else that they think the committee should tackle. But I agree with you, Stacy. There's a lot of costs associated with this, I think, for both the residents and the town. And I think because of the impact, it also might be something that we can get buy-in from folks in town hall and in terms of working on this and trying to solve this, because it's something that's going to be, in the fairly short term, a fairly significant issue.
Can you catch up people who may not be paying as much attention as they should be?
In terms of what's going on with Mira, Jennifer? Okay, I just want to make sure that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Yep. So Mira is the successor entity to what was known as CRRA. Mira was formed in 2018 to be Connecticut's Trash and Recycling Authority. They operate a trash to energy plant, which is a PR friendly way of saying incinerator. And to date, all of Connecticut's trash, well, except for when every time the plant breaks down, all of Connecticut's trash goes to Mira's trash to energy plant. So it gets burnt instead of going into a landfill. And then the energy is used in some way, shape, or form. So as a result, over the past several years, tipping fees have they've gone up a little, but they haven't been incredibly drastic in terms of where the costs have been. But Mira's plant is old, it's outdated, it is in desperate need of updates. The state Mira and the state, because Mira is a quasi-governmental agency, I think is how they get categorized. The state and Mira tried to find a partner to come in and to refurbish the Mira trash to energy plant. And they couldn't find a private entity that would be willing to partner to solve the problem. It was looking to be I'm gonna miss a zero, $300 million upgrades, I think is what they determined was needed. And as a result, the plant's not going to be upgraded. The plant it doesn't work. It's not designed, my understanding is, for the modern world of trash, whatever exactly that means. I'm not entirely clear on, but essentially it doesn't work with how we handle trash now in terms of how trash is sorted. So they can't afford to run the plant anymore. The plant is going to be shut down. So now instead of, and that facility where that trash to energy plant is going to be the plan, my understanding, is to convert it to a transfer station. So all the waste from Mira member towns, of which Farmington is one, I can't remember how many there are, 30-ish, maybe fewer now. But all the member towns would be bringing their waste to the Mira transfer station. And then from there, the waste would be shipped out of state, because there are no landfills in the state of Connecticut. So all the trash would be shipped out of state, and you would pay, essentially you end up paying now for the transportation of the trash to wherever it's going, and the disposal fees at that location. Last time I looked at it, they were looking at shipping that this trash was going to be transported to Alabama, to Ohio, and throughout the country, throughout pretty much east of the Mississippi, from what I could tell in terms of what they were looking at. And so that's not only are we now talking about paying for trash to go to travel across the country, we're also paying, there's the emissions associated with transporting trash across the country.
And the environmental justice issues.
And the environmental justice issues, exactly. So there's a lot of issue, it's going to be expensive. It's going to likely result in significant increases to tipping fees. There's a number of member towns that are threatening that they will not renew their membership with Mira, which means other member towns will end up footing more of the bill. So costs will increase. And so
I'm sorry, if these member towns aren't going to renew with Mira, what are they going to do?
I'm not exactly sure.
Create their own hole in the ground and try to.
There are a couple of towns. Well, they go with a different waste hauler. So they contract directly with a waste hauler who then has, I guess, their own transfer station, and they dispose of it. But part of the appeal of Mira has been multiple towns together, then their efficiency in numbers in terms of cost, at least.
Okay, thank you.
So essentially, Farmington residents, any residents of towns that are staying with Mira or even using another trash haul or another transfer station concept, they're going to face increased costs associated per ton of waste, per ton of trash. So one of the ways, I mean, the state has been pushing a reduction in waste volume for years. They've been trying to get legislation passed to try to create pilot programs. They have implemented, some towns have tried to go to pay to throw. Kate probably maybe the only, well, Shannon probably sat through the presentation too of the deep consultant who talked about pay to throw, and you switch to paying, instead of paying for a trash can, a barrel that gets picked up every week, you pay a smaller fee for that, and then you pay, so that fee gets reduced, and then you pay per bag of trash by paying for so you would buy the trash bags at, say, Stop and Shop, and those bags would have a cost that would go to the town of Farmington, and the fewer trash bags you use, the less you pay for trash. So DEEP has been looking at trying to work on waste reduction, because this is going to be a problem. If we can't reduce waste, our tipping fees are going to go up. I don't have as much information about recycling costs, but that's another, recycling is another waste stream effectively, until we can figure out how to actually effectively sort and manage our recyclables and actually get them recycled. But really what it boils down to is this plant is shutting down, and our trash has to go somewhere, and it's going to cost more money for our trash to go somewhere else. And a component to trash as well, and I'll bring this up because there's been a woman who's been reaching out to Green Efforts via Facebook Messenger for a couple of weeks now, and she was planning to come tonight and then sent a message today that she probably wasn't going to be able to make it. And her comment was whether or not the committee's ever thought about composting, and we have. But composting, I mean, food waste is probably 30 to 40% of the waste stream, and putting food waste is heavy. So when you're talking tipping fees, that increases the cost because food is filled with water. So it just becomes a heavier product to have to ship. And the other component is you put food waste into a landfill and ultimately creates methane gas. And again, you contribute to greenhouse gases. When you're burning the food, it burns it's not as efficient for creating energy because of the moisture content. So there's a lot going on with waste. DEEP has a zero waste program. I was Googling because Current had an article in October. It was really just an article that was originally published in the Mirror, and that because it was the same exact article in the Current that was in the Mirror, but they had a reference to DEEP's zero waste program. And DEEP is really trying, they're calling it zero, and they're saying zero waste, but it doesn't really mean zero waste. It's an interesting, they're using the word zero without quite understanding what the word zero truly means, I think. But then, so there's a lot in reality. I think if you were to look at waste overall, there's so much going on right now that you could probably keep a lot of people busy for quite some time. There is, as part of the new bottle bill revisions with the NIPS, those deposit fees
to pay for like the pollution of, like, they're just charging more for them that they're not.
So the NIPS aren't actually going into the traditional bottle deposit. The deposit for the NIPS actually comes to the town. And then the town is required by statute to use those funds to to address the waste and pollution caused by NIPS. But they include they give examples of different things that could be potentially included. And
Does that mean that money goes to our budget?
that's what I'm trying. That's what I think I suggested at one point. Now, the council would have to, I think, make that determination. But I would think if it's going to, the pollution caused by NIPS, that Green Efforts is capable. But we would have to, if we were to do that, we'd have to make sure we followed the that the funds were used how the legislation requires them to be. I just added 2 links into the chat. One is to Deep's Zero Waste Program, and the other one is Massachusetts DEP. They have a toolkit, which has some, it's like they have some PowerPoint presentations and some information about working with the public. And I remember from when I looked at it, they also have stuff about cleanup day. So in terms of how to promote it and community reuse events and other things like that too, in terms of how to organize them and plan them and budget for them. And so I know Kate has a lot of that down, but I also thought it would be helpful. But what Massachusetts also points to is that there's a lot more about waste reduction than just trash. It's keeping stuff out of the trash stream to begin with. So we've done that with simple recycling, but then there's other options along similar to creating community reuse events, so communities or swaps opportunities for similar in some ways to how Buy Nothing was set up, for those who are familiar with that on Facebook. But the idea of, hey, do you have something that's broken that maybe instead of throwing out, someone who is handy could fix? Can you set up swaps for time or goods or things like that too? So, so those are there as some other types of waste reduction.
I have some ideas on that for cleanup day. So I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, that's on the agenda next.
I know. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We can either segue or we can table until we're done with this discussion.
Yeah, but we hold off until we. So what are folks think? I've talked a lot now. What are folks thinking for committee goals for next year?
That was super helpful context, Patty. Thank you. We're walking at least that. I'm also curious to hear like what of the I mean, just to reground, I think what we had discussed last time was identifying the sustainable CT actions that stood out as things the committee could go after.
Yep.
So, I mean, the things that stood out to me as most sort of attractive were more under the land and natural resource and inclusive community categories personally, but I recognizing what I shared at the very beginning, I'm also very curious to hear what other folks are sort of gravitating toward, and also just like the timing, I guess, in general. When we think about what we're calibrating against when we say like goals the committee wants to undertake, are we talking about from between here and summer of 22, the rest of this year? I didn't remember if there was like a certain threshold for when we think like what our target would be for that.
Yeah, I think this is looking for 2022 next year with the caveat that I don't know that I will be the chair. That has yet to be worked out. Because for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning, I don't know how the Green Efforts has always been chaired by a member of town council until Chris decided or generously agreed that I could continue as chair, as a resident, but now I'll be a member of the Board of Education. So the question remains to be seen as to how that transition happens and what happens.
Do you and Sylvie have to have a battle?
See, Patty, the beauty of me is delegating the authority to where it properly belongs.
I understand, Chris. And I always appreciate when people understand where authority properly belongs.
Well, Patty, I think you always do a great job. So
Thank you, Sylvie.
I have no worries keeping it for you. And great information, by the way. Thank you for updating us with that information. I wasn't aware of all that, so thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's a lot to take in if you're not living and breathing it on an almost daily basis. So
it sounds like probably the biggest project we need to work on this year is educating the public about that, since most of us were diseducated about it. So that, and then developing some kind of a program that we could do, some education around how to reduce waste. And I think it's all about education. Sure.
Do you think we could partner with the Racial Equity Task Force and do some type of like environmental justice thing? I just try to think about coming at it not just of like just like different angles. Like there's the justice issue and there's the waste reduction and there's the cost issue. So there's different people in this town, and all three of those may appeal to different people.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we can reach out and see if they'd be interested in a joint meeting if that's something we think we wanted to do. Right. That's certainly I can arrange that. And from an education standpoint, I think we've got plenty of online and mailing platforms, and I thought looking along that from a trash standpoint is, and we all know not everybody's even recycling. Aside from the fact that, yes, what we're doing with our recycling is obviously still problematic, and how that's being handled and processed, as Patty already noted. But we're not helping ourselves because not everybody's doing it correctly, right? We got stuff in the recycling that's not supposed to be in recycling. We still have plastic bag, even though we're not, we got rid of most of the plastic bags, but you can still get plastic bags for your produce and whatnot. And what do you do with the plastic bags? And they're not supposed to be going in your recycling. They're supposed to be going back to the supermarket. And so things like that end up in the recycling that compound the problem of what do we do with it? Nobody wants it because the United States is too lazy to do what they're supposed to be doing and properly recycling. And so it's contaminated, and people have finally said, forget it. We're not dealing with this anymore. We don't want your stuff if you people can't figure out how to do it correctly. So, I think so from an education standpoint, there's certainly opportunities there, and to increase recycling levels and increase reuse opportunities.
One of the one event we had to the public on recycling was very well attended.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
It could be a reduce, reuse, recycle thing, go back to the 3 R's, right? The program could be all
maybe even just reduce and reuse, and make the third R a really small component of that, because we've already done it. And I also say people seem to think recycling is the panacea, and it's just, it's not. So reduction and reusing are stronger. And it might be a way, if we get people thinking about waste reduction, if the town ever has, if we do move towards a pay to throw, maybe if we've already educated about waste reduction, pay to throw isn't quite as scary.
Right. You know, and is it reaching out to Amazon and saying, hey, come get all your, like, what do we do? And Amazon alone, and it's great, and we all fell in love with all the deliveries to our front doorstep, but I think everybody has the same experience. The box size and packaging material for some of the things, or because it's coming from 6 different warehouses, your one online order comes in anywhere from 3 to 6 different boxes because it's not all coming from the same facility. So, which we're not going to change that, but can we get them to, you know, is there something they can do on the reusing the boxes and repurposing and creating collection areas for their own material that's really clogging things up.
Yeah, especially when you think about the variety of, I mean, the cardboard box is its own issue, but at least the cardboard box can go into the recycling bin. But when you think about this stuff they put in their packaging and whether or not it's actually, and a lot of it's not recyclable. I get a kick out of similarly, I don't remember if it's one of the food delivery services. They tell you what to do with everything that you get. And I look at the list of what they say their packaging includes. And they say things like, this can go in your, no, that can't be recycled in my curbside bin. So the question then becomes, who else is shipping things to folks saying, yeah, this can be recycled.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody's not going to know differently.
Right. Yeah.
And even that with the cardboard boxes, yes, they can go on the recycle bin, but are they actually getting and being you know, I'd rather, like, Amazon, take them back and put them back in your factory. Like, reuse your own box.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if there's any, you know, any thought process at all on that with them. And I'm sure it's bigger than a Farmington, Connecticut thing, but.
Right. Yeah, there are a couple online stores I've used recently. I get the package from them comes in something that was sending them the whatever raw material they needed in the first instance. So it's very clearly they're already reusing their boxes, which I like much more than seeing a brand new fresh prime box, as much as I like my Amazon shipments.
And some of the habits I don't think we're going to change, particularly since the pandemic, but anyhow.
All right. So Sylvie, were you trying to say something before?
I'm good, sorry.
Okay.
No.
Could I just say one more thing? Because I know I already said one thing. But, you know, with this new push by the US government for us to do Paramore for electric cars and vehicles that need charging, maybe one of our objectives this year is to get some charging stations in Farmington. We've been talking about this for years.
One of the new members of Farmington's Town Council drives a Tesla, so I'm pretty sure that, you know, there's some support for that at least. So I know we've talked about it, Kate, many times, and I think as more people are driving, and I also learned apparently the Tesla chargers are no longer unique to just Tesla. They have two plugs on them, whatever it is that plugs into the car. And they have one that is Tesla specific and generic now on the Tesla chargers. So, because I recall that one of the issues the first time was that Tesla was Tesla specific, and now it's not. Apparently that's new within the past 2 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the Whole Foods out in Avon has a charging station in their parking lot. It's not free. You have to pay for it. You have to have a membership to, you know, like a card. Or an account, but you know, so it could go both ways, that it's either free or it's not free.
Okay.
How much is it?
I don't know. I didn't have the card. I was like, dang it. I do have a plug-in.
So you couldn't just use your credit card to pay their.
No, it was some kind of an account.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kate, I just heard all about your car because I just bought a car from the same guy at Toyota that you
What?
bought yours from. He
You're
told me
kidding.
all about you.
Oh dear. Don't share any of it, okay? What kind of car did you get?
Got a hybrid Highlander because the plug-in the plug-in it's July, and our car was totaled, so I cannot wait for July
Oh my
to get a new car. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
No one was hurt.
it flooded. No, it flooded.
Oh.
There was a tiny leak in the if you ever have a tiny itty bitty leak in your sunroof, it can total your car. So
Oh,
yeah.
good to know.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Lord knows we had enough rain this year to do that.
Yep. The nor'easter 2 weeks ago pushed it over the edge, and the entire electrical system is completely fried.
Oh my God.
Oh, Stacy, what a pain. Oh gosh.
And not good for the environment. An entire vehicle going to the junkyard because of a stupid tiny leak. Like, I thought it was a nuisance, but it's not.
Oh.
But I got a hybrid now.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Anyway, distracting. Sorry. Rein your meeting back in, Patty.
Yeah, so the tasks, so what we've come up with here is what we've discussed is waste reduction generally, land, natural resources, social justice type issues, educating the public about waste issues and how to reduce waste. And then potentially tying in with any of those, partner with the racial equity task force. I do want to add that I think Erica reached out to them when we were, because there's the equity component of the sustainable CT, and Erica reached out to them and could not get any traction. I don't know how persistent she was or who she talked to.
Well, this could be a little more specific because it has to do exactly with the Mira closing and the environmental justice issues.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll be more interested if it's more specific.
And even if they, if we do an educational event, partnering with them may even just help to broaden the scope of people that actually pay attention to an invitation.
Yeah.
To an event. So, and then an electric vehicle charging station, which is a very nice discrete item, I'll have to say.
It is a nice discrete item.
Anyone have anything else to add for consideration?
Okay. Well, if anyone thinks of anything, you can always email me and I can make an addendum, right? We can always add it in or talk about it in December then too.
Yeah. So next steps then with this list, do we want to in December kind of narrow it down to a couple of actionable goals that can actually be worked on in 2022? Because these are all pretty broad categories. And for example, just waste reduction on the whole is way too big. You could do a whole lot with that. You could cover composting, you could cover reusing, reducing. I like the idea of educating, but then maybe creating. So, but then even that requires more specific, what does that mean?
Is the municipal compost place in Southington still almost full and about to close?
They were expanding. They got I believe they had a permit, their permit modification, I think, was accepted. So I believe they are expanding. And there is I think I saw that another one got a permit.
Great.
But those are all it's for commercial only, right? For schools, hospitals, or commercial use. Is that correct?
So Blue Earth uses it. So my compost goes to Southington because that's what Blue Earth uses. I saw that Blue Earth formed a partnership with maybe South Windsor I'm really bad. I can never remember South Windsor, Windsor, or East Windsor when they all show up in a newspaper article, but I think it was South Windsor, that they partnered with South Windsor for restaurant waste. So it's commercial, it's not the residential, but the restaurants, but the town, I think, is working with the restaurants to gather the compost, and the restaurant waste is going, Blue Earth is taking it to Southington as well.
That's amazing.
But I think from my understanding, and because I get emails from Blue Earth because they take my composting, so they send me updates. And from what I can tell is they're very interested in working with municipalities to figure out next steps and how they can expand and be bigger.
Would they come and talk to us?
They might, yeah. They're young guys. I mean, they are, I don't know. Maybe they look younger than they really are, but they look like they're, mid to late 20s, and energetic. One of them, so.
Because I thought we were going to try to do the composting in the schools.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we started exploring that, and then that ended up off to the side as well. So
right. Yeah.
If we could get Blue Earth just to do the schools and maybe commercial stuff with the local restaurants. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a start anyhow, right? And that's, I think, what we've got to is start to figure out different tiers and different levels, and right. Because if we look at it, hey, we've got to get it, we have to get it all. That's not, so a few manageable chunks, and then start to, from there, see if we can get, other things to stick from it. So.
And the advantage of starting in the schools is you can work it into a curriculum in some way, shape, or form, and kids hear about it, and then they go home to mom and dad and say, we're doing this, and maybe mom and dad say, oh, that sounds interesting. So, and Blue Earth they have limited towns that they service, but they obviously service Farmington. So.
Can we email? And I mean, I'm happy to email, or does it have to be does it have to be Shannon? I hate when it always goes on our town person. Like, can we email and just say, can you come out and talk to us in our meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, and I had added in, we can add it in at the bottom, is to do the 2022 meeting schedule. And so then you have the dates, and you could say, hey, these are our program dates, and pick a date, and
great.
And then we can decide too for that meeting, and they can too. I mean, sometimes the presenters like Zoom because it's a little more, they don't have to schlep all the way in here and whatever anyone's personal schedule. But if it was going to be something they prefer to do in person, we can certainly accommodate that as well.
Yep.
But yes, Stacy, if you want to make that connection, and that would be great.
Yeah, I'm on their website right now, actually, and they've now added that they do, they've added a municipal tab to their services. And it indicates that for curbside organic, they'll do both subscription-based services or a curbside collection program for all residents.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how capable they are of implementing it on a wide scale. I will say they've gone, when they first started picking up my compost, it was one of the founder's mothers in her station wagon driving around the towns, and she'd pick it up. And
awesome.
Amazing.
And now they actually have like composting trucks that they come, and so it's pretty cool. It's nice watching them get bigger.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What moms won't do for their kids, right?
Yeah.
Like they give them support, like, okay, we believe in you. I'll even drive the car to go pick up.
Yes. And I didn't even know it was one of his moms until she said, okay, they finally have enough money. She didn't quite put it like this, but you get emails that we're picking up the waste. And they finally have enough money that they're hiring some more staff. So my last, month, my last day with you will be, I'm like, okay. But they're great. I mean, I get text, hey, your waste isn't out, your compost isn't outside. Are you home? Did you forget to put it out by the door? Oh yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's great.
It's a good organization.
So Miss Porter's already has been doing the composting in their cafeteria for a couple of years. So they
Okay.
might be a good place to go to. We could talk to Katie Bradley about, their practices and, kind of learn from the pitfalls and whatnot if we're going to go into the schools. So she would be a good resource.
Kate, do you know, are they shipping it off site or are they composting it?
Yeah, offsite.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so they're collecting it and then it gets picked up to get shipped
Right.
off.
And they
Got it.
might use Blue Earth, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Blue Earth is right now the only major hauler for compost in our part of the state. But it doesn't mean that there aren't others that are doing it as a side, like a waste management, also doing some compost along with it. So, all right. Okay, so we have some ideas for the next meeting to talk about. We can narrow down, create a couple of true actionable goals, items, as the kids in school would say, SMART goals, right? Smart. If I were to say that with my teenager listening, she would roll her eyes. But hey, so. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to add? We've now got composting, schools, restaurants, a meeting, potentially meeting with Blue Earth, social justice, land, natural resources issues, education of the public, partnering with racial equity task force, EV charging station.
Invasives removal.
Always, Kate.
That's a
That's a
small.
never ending.
Shannon, your favorite subject.
I'm almost like, I'm truly
Yeah,
like
PTSD.
throwing the towel. Oh, I'm all done with the invasives. I can't.
There was I thought of you. I should have cut it. I think it was from Cornell's ag research station. Someone is exploring pests for Japanese knotweed because they have pretty much said nothing else will get rid of it. They can't pull it. You can't without digging, like, I don't remember, something like 10 feet down. They were like, you can't disturb it. They said they have constructed buildings over it and it comes up through cracks in the foundation years later.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
it's
want a
insane.
plant that wants to live? Apparently it's Japanese knotweed.
That's
If
really
we could figure out how to grind it up and smoke it. I'm like, but I mean, that would really make it, I mean, if it was marketable, you'd be all set, but you
Yeah.
We
can't.
can feed it to cows. I mean,
You can
I
eat
don't
it.
eat meat because it's mean, but I mean, that came out wrong. But
Okay, see?
instead of corn, we could feed them Japanese knotweed.
Or goats, like they say, get goat. If you want to get rid of your poison ivy, use goats and the goats. will
Or
eat them.
sheep. We get Bobby Emery's sheep and take them all over town. We'll take care of all of our invasives.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just about thrown in the towel, so
All right. Well,
anyhow, okay.
all right. Thank you, everyone. Next, simple recycling update. Speaking of waste reduction.
Yes, and I've got a couple. So the simple recycling, I had done an addendum in the September meeting minutes because the totals came in after the meeting. So June and July, June was 3,400, almost 3,500 pounds. July, 3,200 pounds. August is the dip because people are away. It was nice. It was actually, I'm like, oh yay, people actually got away in August. I think too, that was the transition month, or there was a lot of transition with the program, and it was 800 pounds. It was nice to see September and October. I just got emails today with those updates. September was back up. It was 4,000 pounds. In October was 3,200 pounds.
Nice.
So we're averaging, a ton and a half ish, a ton and a half to 2 tons
That's great.
a month, which is great that it's out of the waste stream. I'm still amazed that there is that much textile recycling that's continually needs to be done on a monthly basis, that this is pretty
Mhm.
much our average
Right.
is like right around a ton and a half I'm astounded.
Yeah, I saw something. Thanks, Jennifer. Have a good night. Good luck with
Thanks,
class.
Jen.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Fast fashion is a huge contributor. Apparently, the clothing industry is a significant contributor to the waste stream. Just when you look at the factory room cuttings and all of that on top of, what people don't wear. But yeah, I'm amazed each time I go through closets. I'm like, oh, how come this is still here? How come I haven't gotten rid of it yet? And we're talking stuff that I don't want to donate, whether it's, towels that my kids bleached because they bleached their hair, or whatever else. But so I'm glad it's not in the waste stream.
Do you want me to post those numbers to at least our Facebook page?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. I can send you an email with the exact
Okay, perfect.
numbers. Yeah. It'll probably be easier.
Yeah.
And then just as a aside, because this is kind of sometimes interesting. So we do our bulk waste collection in October, and obviously most of the waste ends up at the trash, but the mattresses and box springs all get recycled. I wasn't sure if you folks were aware. I know it's called out separately, and some
Mhm.
people are aware they get recycled. And there's a fee now that when you buy a new mattress and box spring, there's like a recycling fee that helps pay for this program. But we had for the fall collection, we had 470 mattresses and box springs total, 21,540 pounds.
Wow.
So with tonnage, that's 10.5 tons out of the waste stream. So it starts to add up, which is nice. And then the mattresses, apparently they deconstruct the mattress entirely. So the wood frame, or the box spring has the wood, but the wood frame, the springs, everything comes out and it gets all repurposed and reused as part of the program. So and if I get household hazardous waste numbers, I've asked for those as far as that stuff and the shredding and that gets recycled and reused and taken and disposed of. At least, again, it's out of the waste stream and we know it's being disposed of properly. So if I get those numbers, or if they're ready for next month's meeting, I'll share those when I get them.
Shannon, do you know what the town's average tonnage is on like a monthly basis for trash?
Offhand, I don't, but I can get it. And that's something. So if we decide we want to start looking at trash or even looking at recycling, I can start working with the highway department, and those are reports, because we have to, right, we have all those, it all has to be tracked and charted. So we do have those numbers, and then there's also annual reports that are done, so that data is available. So it is something that we could start looking at, and it would help if we wanted to start to look at different elements. We could start to have measurable targets, and at least there's some numbers to work with and look at. So,
Great.
and that's all I have for an update. And with the numbers bopping back up with the simple recycling, I took that as a good sign that people have made that transition with doing the call in to schedule their pickup. And I know our phones haven't been ringing off the hook with complaints, so that's also a good sign.
Yeah.
So
always good to get one less person complaining to you guys.
Well, and it just, and it was it seems to be a much more streamlined process for us as a municipality, and for simple recycling too, for implementing. So it was a good change on both sides.
Good.
So.
And are we getting money again from them or not yet?
We're supposed to under the new contract. I haven't seen any of it yet, so I'll poke at them, because the new contract I think was effective July. I can't remember if it was July 1 or August 1. So I'll look. It wasn't, I think it was, rather than per ton. I think they had switched it to 5 cents per pickup. So, so it was a different metric. So I can make an inquiry with them about that, because yeah, that could be money then that comes back into green efforts. To help fund some of the things that we want to do here.
Awesome. All right, so next is 2022 cleanup day.
Kate and I met. We drank a bottle of wine, so now I'm not sure what we met about. She assured me that I can rest on my laurels until January 1, and then I have to get my act together.
Yeah.
But one possible thing that I've been thinking about, and I wanted to see what people thought about, would be some type of town-wide yard sale, maybe at one of the schools. And like there's a couple of different models. If we wanted to contract it out, we could, like Lisa Goldstein runs Leave It to Lisa, and so I was sort of like talking about ideas for her. So if we contracted it out, she would handle, like that type of company would handle the whole thing and charge per space. And the idea would be that everything that anyone brought, they would have to either sell or bring home. So we wouldn't be on the hook for getting rid of anyone's things at the end of the day, like the church rummage sales, like they're stuck with all the stuff. But or we could just run it internally, and it could be like if we did it at a school, then we could charge per table, and then that would offset the cost of the custodians bringing out the lunch tables. I don't know. I just wanted to see what people thought about that, because it's a good, like everyone has a bunch of stuff that they want to get rid of, but they kind of want money for it, but they don't want to have their own yard sale because they're a huge hassle. So this might be attractive.
Certainly a way to get traffic.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier of kind of the reuse, step of what we're going to be trying to work on next year. But how to do it, those things could be worked out. Yeah, we could. Right now, where we have our locations is, and I think we should move the library's location. We get a handful of people that come there, even though that's where we do the hazardous waste. We thought, oh, we should have it all there. But I don't think the table for the townwide cleanup makes sense, because I've watched it over the last 5 years and it just doesn't get people to come to it. But if we went back to IAR, because we did IAR back in the day when Mr. Barry was there and he got the green efforts. They had a green team out there and they were so good, these kids. And so we had an amazing success out at IAR with people coming and participating in the cleanup. So it would be a good place for it. Plus there's the space. That might get IAR back involved.
IAR does have a lot of room, and it would get a location further east, right? Because right now the furthest east is Noah, right? We had Unionville, Tungus, Mead, Noah Wallace. So if we got East Farms, then we'd have kind of west and a couple central and then east. So as you kind of come across town, that would be a good idea.
So we could change the location and then, add that on. Limit, you'd have to limit the number of participants.
Do we want to do it the same day you're thinking, Stacy, or?
I was thinking, so it would be just like cleaning up and reusing and reducing and shredding and just like the whole town doing green things for one day.
Do we run into, I like the idea, I'm just throwing this out. Do we run into an issue of people having to bring their stuff to hazardous waste day and go to IAR for the community yard sale?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like just cross town.
Yeah.
Be in two places.
I know the traffic was just really bad last year at
it's horrible.
the high school.
Oh, so it's always,
we'd want to add to have, if we had it in the high school parking lot.
I wouldn't, no, there's no room, you can't.
I don't think that is
so that's why Kate and I were thinking IAR.
No, I think the location makes sense. I just want to make sure that, and I think doing it on the same day makes sense because you get everyone focusing on it at once. I just wonder if you miss some segment of the population at one or the other event by having them both on the same day.
Do you slide the hours a smidge? I mean, not that, any of us want to do this for like the entire day, but the household hazardous waste, they start set up is at 7, I think. And I think it officially starts at 7:30 or 8.
Yeah, at 8.
And runs to 1. So do we do the yard sale? Because you're also, it's springtime, so you've got the people running with all their kids for all the soccer events in the morning. If the yard sale went from 10 to 2, 10 to 3, like I wouldn't want to go past 3 because at that point we're done, right? From a volunteer standpoint, we're toast, and that's a very long day. But I just wonder if you slide it just enough that it might help with some of that overlap and alleviate.
Yeah, I think that would, because then if someone wants to do both, they can just drop off at the high school first and then get to IAR.
Now, is the intent for the people that have stuff that want to participate in the community yard sale, they need to stay there with their stuff, or we haven't thought that far through?
My thought was that if we were going with the model of not using the custodians and the lunchroom tables, it would be like a small fee for the space, bring your own table, bring your own stuff, and then like leave it as you found it. No, you can't leave any of your stuff, and you can't leave obviously your own table. The other model would be, and then the fees would, if we had to use the lunch tables, because they're all on wheels, they can be brought outside, I think, we would have to pay custodians to work that day. And so then we'd have to charge, that would be the charge for the space.
Okay.
I like the idea of it's your own little pop-up. You show up with your stuff and you.
I do
take
too.
it away. Yeah.
I think it's a lot simpler. And different people do it different ways, and then you could use like parking spaces, right? We could assign parking spaces as your space, and you could do like every other one or whatever. But yeah, I think too, we'd have to have a sign, maybe like a sign up genius or a sign up something, so that
Registration.
and then obviously we got to get permission from the school too. So that's so there's there's a building use form, even though it's not the building, but it's still you're using their property, so it's a building use form to do that and kind of explain what's going to be done.
Okay, I'll try to write it up and flesh out those ideas, and then
perfect.
Great idea.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew that you would take this on and do just great things.
Well, let's see what happens. No.
And Stacy, in that Massachusetts link with the various modules, there's probably some helpful stuff too.
Okay, great.
Well, and we'll be working on this together, so you're not alone on it, Stacy.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on cleanup day?
No, but I've got 2 other things for other business. So
Yep.
A quick question to you, Shannon. Did we get, we got approval for the hazardous waste for that day? It's the 23rd, correct?
It has been, so right now, all the municipalities have agreed, yes, it's the 23rd. We are still waiting to hear from the vendor that hosts for the hazardous waste collection. So I just was in touch with our highway superintendent, who's in touch with Tom Roy, who's head of DPW and Simsbury. And those 2 are connecting, because until we have a contract signed with that entity for 2022, it's not 100%, but we've ran through it's between Easter holiday and school break holiday. That's really the only it's the only good weekend in April to use. So I'd say we're like 95% there, but I wouldn't go, we can't publicize it yet.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's where we are. Yeah.
All right. I know one of your other items is the meeting schedule, Shannon. I don't know what
Yes.
your other one is, and I don't know what order you want them. So,
We can do meeting schedule let's do
Okay.
the 2022 meeting schedule. So it's here up on the screen. I had just emailed it at the end of the day. Because I thought, I'm like, oh, let's get this in. And so I figured it'd be an easy add-on.
Should we just resign ourselves to not have a meeting on July 5th now, or cancel it when everyone realizes they're away on July 5th?
no,
we can-
it's a Tuesday this year. That was my first thought too. And I said, oh, I actually probably will be here.
We can cancel it. I won't hurt my feeling because it's my anniversary, but I figured
All right. Do we need to put December no meeting as well on this? Oh, no, there it is. I had to scroll down. My page break went weird when I looked at it. I'm looking at my own screen and the page break went weird.
gotcha.
Ignore my comment.
So are we doing no meeting in July and August? Is that the deal? Or are we just moving the July 5th one?
We can do August instead of July. Or we can move the July meeting, or we can. So typically, none of the land use boards meet in August is typically what happens. So, so this would if we want to meet in August, this would be the only board meeting or committee meeting in August.
And I do tend to take my summer vacation in August. So, but I don't have it booked yet. So.
And there's nothing you can certainly take both off. We can leave one, we can switch it. I have my Unionville Historic District, we leave them all on, and then they meet if they have something, and then otherwise they say, nah, let's go ahead and cancel it. And so if there's something coming up, then we can do a quick chat, even if it's a quick 20 or 30 minute meeting. So pretty flexible. We can add August back in. I don't know. Let's see if I can.
Doesn't matter to me.
I would agree with the July one being hard. I won't be July. That's a hard one right after the 4th.
So it would be August 2nd. Do we want to take July out, put August in, and then if we decide we don't need August as we're approaching, we can always cancel it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I'm seeing a couple of head nods. We'll take that.
Sure.
Okay, so any other changes that need to be made?
I have a motion to approve the proposed meeting dates as amended.
Motion to approve.
I second. Oh, I'll let you, Chris.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the other, thank you, everyone. And then the other item I had was our December meeting is set for December 7th, but I have TPZ also on December 7th with public hearings scheduled. So, so we won't be meeting on December 7th. And so I was wondering if December 8th, which is the Wednesday, or the 15th, the following Wednesday, worked for folks.
Both are fine for me.
I think both are fine for me. I have to. And actually, I told someone I can't do something on December 7th now. I just need to make sure. Yeah, both are fine for me.
Okay, what were the two dates? I'm sorry.
That's okay. The 8th or the 15th.
I can do the 8th and And the 15th.
8th would probably be better for me.
8th is better for Chris. Okay. Okay, we want to go with the 8th?
Mhm.
Seems to be a consensus. Sylvie, do you have a preference? Are they both good for you?
Oops, sorry, buddy.
Sam, are you good with the 8th?
Yeah, if non-voting members have a voice, the 8th is better for me.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, this is,
We have
Oh,
a bill-
absolutely.
I
We
think
like having you at the meeting, so yes.
it's helpful to have you here, so, yeah.
We have a building committee on the 15th, so.
Right, oh, right, yeah, so that'll occupy your time. Okay, so let's call it this December 8th at 7 o'clock. All right, I'll get it updated in the calendars and all that jazz, so we'll get it all moved around.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All
Yes,
right.
Dave. I
And
don't
with-
have a clone yet.
With
Yeah, go home, Shannon.
no other item on the agenda, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Yay.
Someone needs to second it.
I can second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Motion passes. I'm not even going to ask if anyone is objecting to adjourning. No, so,
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Great evening.
Good
Have a
night.
happy
Good night.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Same to
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.